Welcome to Franchise Success Formulas. This is Aisha Bascaro, and today we are going to answer the 5 top questions asked by franchisees this week. So here are the questions. Number 1. How do I keep unit level managers accountable without micromanaging them? What a great question. This is always a question among franchisees. Well, I will have to tell you that first of all, the best way to keep people accountable as to what your expectations are is by making it clear what your expectations are. And this is something that sometimes we don't do a good enough job. We know in our minds and in our hearts what we want them to do, but sometimes we do a pretty poor job at actually expressing to them what the expectations are. The more black and white and clear and measurable that you can make those expectations, the better you give them the chance to be able to meet those expectations. So obviously KPIs, key performance indicators of every metric that you are going to follow up on. If you have an expectation around sales, let them know what the expectation is exactly. Not just that sales should be up, but by how much exactly. If you have expectations around labor costs, okay, what should the labor costs be? What is the exact goal that if you achieve that, they are doing well? What about cost of goods? What about customer service or speed of service or turnover? Literally any and all expectations you have of them, you need to be able to have a metric behind them if there is a performance goal, or if it's just expectation of actions, give them clarity on what those actions are. Never assume that they are going to know what those are, because you know what they say about assuming, right? And if you do not want to micromanage them, all you need to do is make it very clear what the expectations are, and then you follow up. And if they're not meeting those expectations, then it's when you have a conversation, and that's when you point it out in a very neutral, obviously way, and then they will have the opportunity to either verbalize to you why the expectations are not being met, and then maybe they need support or training and coaching, or share with you why those expectations may not be possible. Either way, initially having clear expectations is going to be a great stepping stone, and any areas in which they're not accomplishing, then there should be a conversation as to why that is. Obviously, if you trusted somebody to be a leader in your organization, that means that you know that they can do it, ideally. But if for some reason they're not, then that's something that you need to find out as a leader so that you are able to either redirect them or find a different place for them to be. But micromanaging does not work with most managers, especially the top performing managers. If you were to micromanage me, you will drive me crazy, okay? So I think that the fine line between being able to delegate responsibility to someone and micromanaging it is just give them clear expectations, and that way they can achieve those without you having to be there in every detail of what they do every day. So that's what I would suggest about how to keep your unit level managers accountable without micromanaging them. All right, so that takes me to question number 2, and it says, is it worth investing in AI powered scheduling and inventory tools right now? Well, look, I love technology. Literally, I bought my first laptop in 1993. I remember it's a 12-pound IBM laptop. And then I also bought a Hewlett-Packard portable printer with me. At the time, I was doing international work, and wherever I went in the world, the laptop and the portable printer came with me and allowed me to do amazing work. So I'm all about technology, but I will tell you that before you explore AI tools to create schedules, you need to first make sure that the managers that you are entrusting not only to create those schedules, but to execute them and follow up on them and make sure that they happen, they need to know exactly how to do that right. I know that sometimes we just want technology to take the place of people, but there are certain things in which AI is still not there, right? For you to be able to have any technology and being used the best way possible, the managers need to understand what that technology is doing so that they can make the best out of it. So while AI is definitely moving in, leaps and bounds, I do not know that there is any AI right now that can take the place of a manager being able to create those schedules. Now, is there technology out there that can help them do a better job? Absolutely. Are there platforms that they should be using to identify where they are as they're building the schedule, and are they meeting the expectations? Absolutely. But to have AI do the schedules instead of the person, I don't know about that. Now, if you have a different opinion and you know of a AI technology out there or platform that can actually do amazing schedules and be able to consider all of the human parts of it, please put it in the comments. I would love to be able to hear about that platform, and let's share with the community that is always following this podcast. Okay. All right. Let's go to question number 3. And it says, what's the best way to handle franchise-wide price increases without losing loyal customers? Usually, franchisors will provide recommended retail pricing. So they do that through a very detailed analysis of the market across the country if you are a nationwide market. And so I think that that would be the first place to start. Now, you do not want to lose loyal customers. And so there is a balance between taking price increases and making it a way that the customers get disappointed, and which then will cause you not only to lose the customers, but lose those valuable transactions in your business. So be very careful when you're doing those price increases. Make sure that they're not out of line with your competitors. One of the things that you need to do is see where you are in competitive pricing with your fellow neighbors, or the competitors around you. Not only franchisees in the same brand that you're in, but businesses that are similar product or service that you deliver. Because being competitive will be one of the ways in which you're not going to lose your loyal customers. And that's going to be very important. So whenever you are considering increasing prices, take the competitive landscape and make sure that you're not out of line. Otherwise, you will be losing loyal customers. Something else that you can do is ensure that your service and the experience that those customers are getting is consistent every time they come. If they do that, everybody knows that prices are going up. Inflation is a reality in our world. And so taking pricing from time to time is going to be something that is expected, as long as your customer service and the experience that customers receive does not change, or even better, if it improves. So let's go to question number 4 for this week. And it says, how do I grow without diluting my culture? Wow, so important. As we grow, one of the challenges with that is that we are not able to be present as often in the units as we are in the beginning. At the beginning of our growth in the multi-unit franchising, it's easier to be in all the units and spend time with them and get to know the people and have them get to know you. And then you're able to spread the type of culture that you want by having a clear charter of mission, vision, and values, and living them every day and talking about them in your organization and implementing it and living it how you want it to be. As you're growing, this becomes a challenge. And here is where it's so important that you as a leader are reinforcing that culture with every leader in your organization. You may not be able to go into the units and reach out to the team members in the front lines, but you should certainly always build a relationship with the unit managers and district managers if you have them, so that they are able to experience the type of culture that you want to create by you being the role model, so that they can turn around and share that culture into the units in every day. And that's going to be something that's going to be critical in your organization. If you want to have the culture continue to spread and be strong as you grow into 10 and 15 and 20 units, you have to be the one to drive it to your top leaders and then have them drive it into your units every day. If you do that, you're more likely to be able to keep that culture alive in your organization. And that brings us to question number 5, which says, should I stop opening new units and focus on fixing the underperformers? Well, sometimes we have to do both. If you have a growth goal and you know that you have a commitment, whether it's financial or your people that are waiting in the sidelines to be able to have the opportunities for growth, sometimes you have to do both. You have to continue in your plan for growth while you're having a certain focus on the performing units. But do not let your underperforming units stop you from the successful growth in your organization. Growth is excitement. Growth is motivating. Growth could be part of your culture. If you are trying to create a culture of growth and success and move forward and excitement, then you must continue in your growth. Now, when it comes to underperforming units, you might have people that can help you and focus on that, so that if you are the one driving the growth, you're not get stuck in the underperforming units. Now, there are sometimes decisions decisions that are hard that need to be made if you in reality have an underperforming unit that might not even be at break even, but is actually driving other units down. That sometimes we might need to make tough decisions like closures, or sometimes it just requires an additional focus and support for those units to be turned around. And so if it's not you, then maybe assigning a strong leader, a strong person in your organization to focus on those underperforming units. And then you can split and conquer both situations. And so if you had to choose between one or the other, it's going to be really based on what are your goals, what are the expectations, what is it, the culture that you're trying to drive in your business, and that will tell you what should be your priority. If for you is to make sure that every single unit is profitable, then maybe you want to slow down your growth, focus on that underperforming unit, and turn it around if possible. If not, take a quick decision and then refocus on the growth of your organization. So those are the top 5 questions for this week from the franchisees that are in the industry. If you have any questions, put them in the chat so that maybe I will answer your question in the future top 5 questions of the week from the franchise industry. All right. With that, I hope that this gave you some guidance and you enjoyed this podcast. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.